It is Mary Hyatt, and welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show. I am super excited to have you for today's episode because we are going to be getting into insecurities. Ooh, this is a big topic. I don't know one woman who is not plagued with a just onslaught of insecurities all the time. So we're going to get into that in the episode. If you are watching here on YouTube, if you are watching live, I would absolutely love if you commented, give me your input. I want to hear from you guys what's going on. How does this resonate with you? And it makes it fun to kind of get interactive about it. It also, of course, helps you just process in real time as you're listening, as you're gaining things that might up your level of awareness and hopefully give you some permission to release some of those insecurities today, let go of some of those insecurities. But before we get into the episode, let's officially start the show. It is Mary Hyatt, and welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show. I'm so excited that you are spending this time with me. Today is episode number 67, Overcoming Deep Insecurities. Ooh, this is going to be a juicy topic today. I tell you what, man, I feel like everybody, women primarily, every woman that I talk to is just having this onslaught of insecurities. So it's like I can't have a conversation with a woman, with a girlfriend, with a sister, with a friend, with even just people that you meet for the first time without hearing their sort of internal mantra of what is wrong with themselves, whether it's their body or their relationships and how crappy they are at relationships, whether that's a marriage or a dating relationship or a mother, or sort of, you know, their inadequacies in their business, in their success. And it just seems like everybody is talking about what's wrong with themselves. Like, ugh, this is wrong and that's wrong and I want to change this and I want to change that. And so today we're going to get into sort of where does this all come from? We'll kind of have a discussion around this topic, and then I'm going to give you some ways to begin to sort of break that trance of insecurity. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you first and foremost subscribe to this show. So if you're not already following me on social media, or if you are not getting my weekly newsletter, the best way to hear about this show and to hear about announcements that come up, like my retreats and my workshop, is to subscribe. So however you are listening to your music, whether that's iTunes or SoundCloud or Google Play or whatever, even on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way you will always hear about the show, because one of the fun things that I do that you might not know about if you're not subscribed is I offer guided meditations as a podcast. So if you are listening to this as a podcast, you might already be seeing the fact that, oh, she's got some guided meditations on here. And the only way you're going to know about those guided meditations is if you subscribe, because I do not, announce those. Those are just sort of, every week, every other week, I'm throwing those out there because I know that meditation is so supportive to you coming back to a place of living fully alive. So make sure you subscribe. And if you are on your podcast app, I have to ask that you rate this podcast 5 stars, show me some love, show me some sisterhood. And if you're feeling extra generous, I would love for you to actually write a legitimate review. I know, it's going to take you like a minute to say, Mary's awesome, this is a great show, I've learned so much, but I would so appreciate it. That way more people can find this show and grow in their femininity, in their vulnerability, in their authenticity, just like you are doing right now. So subscribe and rate this show. Okay, so let's hop into today's episode. So like I said, you guys, everybody is dealing with insecurities. There's not one woman out there that I know of who hasn't battled this in some form or another. And I think there's seasons of our life where maybe we're more insecure than others. Maybe there are varying degrees of insecurity person to person. But chances are, if you're a woman living in today's modern society, you're going to have experienced some serious insecurity. And I know for me, that has been very true. I have lived in, I feel like, several different bodies. I have been 80 pounds heavier than I am now. I have been everything in between. My weight is usually fluctuating, give or take some, 15, 20 pounds, depending on the year. And so for me, I've had a lot of body insecurities, whether I am in relationships. I've had a lot of insecurities in how I show up. Am I a good partner? Am I attractive enough? Am I sexy enough? Am I interesting enough? Am I fascinating enough to hold somebody's attention? Whether that be in business, where I feel like, oh my God, everybody else is successful and doing all of this amazing work. And here I am, just getting started, trying to figure it out. I feel totally behind the 8 ball. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm faking it till I make it. And who am I to do this? Or it could just be me in social settings. Like if you guys know me and if you've ever met me, I'll probably tell you that I have a lot of social anxiety. I had a party last night for a Tony Robbins mastermind sort of Nashville chapter, and it was a blast. And I had about 25 people at my house last night, all these people that are like cranking it at a high level, people that are really serving their communities in a powerful way, sharp people, smart people, pursuing growth, pursuing excellence. And I felt so socially anxious, awkward, insecure. It was like, is my house okay? Do I look okay? Is the food just right? Does everybody have what they need? And I had this insecurity. Now I've had to, learn through the years how to talk myself through that, but it comes up. It's like those triggers happen where we feel inadequate, where we feel insecure. And I think in our constant day and age where we are constantly bombarded as well with pictures and stories of other women, like think about that for a second, like social media, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, obviously all the shows, movies that we watch, magazines that we look at, we're constantly bombarded with other women who are presented at their best, at the height of their career, of their bodies, of their happiness. And so there is a lot of reason to feel insecure. And I feel like it's really reached an all-time high. So Ali Benazir says it really, really great. He says, the average American watches over 4 hours of TV a day, at least 15 minutes of ads per house, and 3 seconds per ad. That's 120 times a day. Somebody is telling you that you need to buy stuff to be adequate. Can we all just take like a deep breath? Whew. It's intense, right? Like, can I get an amen? If you're watching the YouTube live show, or even if you're listening to the podcast, I would absolutely love to know if this is something that you deal with, this constant influx of quote unquote perfection that exists out there. And that might be just perhaps contributing a little bit to you feeling inadequate. And why there, of course, is like a multi-billion dollar business at selling us things, especially as women, the beauty industry, selling us things to make sure that we are adequate, to fix whatever's going on that's broken inside of ourselves. So where does this leave us as women? To me, and what I hear, it sounds like, if only I looked like her, or God, I wish I had her boobs, or man, my family's not that perfect. I must not be a good mother, or I could never be that sexy. Or, oh my God, she's got perfect hair and mine is so thin. That's something that I say all the time because I have really thin hair. And it might sound something like, man, so-and-so's doing this program and has lost a bunch of weight and summer's coming and I'm just so gross. I'm so fat. Like, I've got to fix this. I got to lose weight quick. And so that's kind of what the insecurity sounds like. And we do this collectively as women. It's like when we get together with other women, chances are you're talking about your latest diet, what you're trying to do to fix yourself, whether that be who's the person you go to for Botox, who's the person you go to get your hair done, where do you get your nails done? And again, none of these things are bad. None of these things are inherently evil, or you'll hear me say, don't do those things. it's just sort of like, where is this messaging coming from? We kind of had to slow down as women to pause and think, all right, what's triggering my insecurity? Is it coming from a valid source? And do I want to listen to it? Is that where I want to put my energy? Is it where I want to put my trust to say, this isn't right with me? And as women, we just constantly complain about our bodies, our appearance, how we're not where we think we should be. And we get a lot of sympathy from our girlfriends around this. We get a lot of, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. A lot of chiming in this regard. And so I think if we kind of look at this issue of insecurity, if we peel it back, to me, I think there are two core beliefs fueling this insecurity. The first is that we believe we are flawed to our core. It's almost like the world is screaming at us, you are not enough, you are broken, you are flawed, you need fixing, you aren't pretty enough, sexy enough, smart enough, successful enough, happy enough. And the list goes on and on and on and on. That belief, we are flawed, there's something wrong with me. So that's fueling our insecurity. Now, to make it a little bit more complicated, and almost like the other side of the coin that complicates this so much, is that the second belief is pride comes before a fall. So in our culture, we have been taught as women to self-diminish ourselves. If you think about it, God forbid we as a woman actually love ourselves. After all, if you've grown up in the church or any kind of religious community, what is one of the 7 deadly sins? Pride. And so we as women are terrified to be what we think is quote unquote prideful. Loving ourselves is selfish. Being into ourselves is not really seen as a good thing. We are shamed so often for our confidence, and it's considered conceited or boastful, or you might be like, damn, that girl is like super full of herself. Like, who does she think she is? And so what we do as a response to this is we sort of make ourselves smaller. We deflect compliments. Like, how often, if somebody says, oh my God, I love your hair, or I love your shirt, or I love your shoes, or you look great, you're radiating, or whatever it might be. And you're like, oh my gosh, well, I actually really feel terrible. Or, oh, I just got this at Target. Like, it was super cheap. Or, yeah, you do too. But I'm not feeling great right now. It's like we're always deflecting. We don't want to own the fact that we are radiating, or that we are, signaling something that is magnetic, that we are beautiful beings as women, no matter what size, what shape, what age, what color you are. And so we make ourselves smaller. We've been taught to make ourselves less bright as women. And it seems like everybody is sort of playing this self-depreciation game. So think about this for a second. If you're like an avid scroller of Instagram or Facebook or whatever, how many times have you judged confident women? And we can leave the discussion for later, is if they really are confident or not. But how many times you see a photo of somebody who is doing something remarkable, or they're smiling, or they're doing something that's maybe like a huge gap from where you feel like you are, and then you instantly judge. Maybe you think like, oh my God, who does she think she is? This is ridiculous. She's so full of herself. Get over yourself. Or that's not really real. That's not realistic for most women. How often do you find yourself judging women who are acting and being in a state of confidence? Because when you do that, when you judge, what's happening is that's reinforcing your own insecurities about yourself, because you're seeing this gap. You're thinking to yourself, okay, this person is so far away from where I am, I have to judge her, which automatically reinforces that I'm far away, that I'm not enough. And it sets us up for shame. So we've got these two beliefs sort of on either side of the coin. One is we are flawed, and the other is pride comes before a fall. So it's tricky. It's really, really tricky. And so what this equates to is massive insecurity of women. It's like we don't even know how to be. We want to love ourselves, but we believe we're broken. And then if we do love ourselves, we're not supposed to love ourselves too much, because that's threatening as well. So it's like, okay, where do we land? How do we find this middle ground? And I'll talk about this in a little bit, but I don't actually think we have to find the middle ground. I think we can truly love ourselves and accept ourselves. But once you mix all of that, those beliefs, we are flawed, pride comes before a fall, we mix that with this reinforcement of social media, we can't help to feel in total conflict and insecure. And so to love ourselves, that is fearful. And then we should never actually think too highly of ourselves. That's a dilemma. We're caught between a rock and a hard place. And the world is always going to reflect back to those internal beliefs. It's never going to echo back to you that you are beautiful, whole, enough. Hopefully, that's why I do the work that I do. Hopefully that tide will change. Hopefully we're going to be able to see a shift in that. But right now, there's too much money in feeding your belief that you are not enough for that to change. It's like they can't have an ad talking about self-love next, or an article talking about self-love next to a diet pill in a magazine, for example. Or they can't talk about loving your curves, for example, next to the 5 ways to burn that booty fat. Like it's too much of a conflicting message. What they're really doing is going, how can we sell these products? How can we advertise to women? And it's like the guys up there in the sky are basically saying, like, we know that if we keep reinforcing this insecurity, we got this. We have to make sure that women believe that there's something wrong with them, so that then they'll buy our stuff. And there's a whole underbelly of this industry. It goes way back. I'm not going to get into all the history and historical journey of this. It's fascinating. And I'll even, at some point, maybe, through a newsletter, share with you guys some of my favorite books that talk about the history of the beauty industry, because it really is fascinating and I think will blow your mind. But for us, obviously we're going to be wanting to grow, wanting to change, ever changing, ever evolving, ever growing. But my hope is that growth, that desire to become a better version of yourself is actually radiating from confidence rather than a place of insecurity where you go, I just want to see how good I can feel, rather than I've got to fix what's wrong. Because after all, who does it really actually serve to believe that you are broken and flawed? Think about that for a second. Who is it serving for you to continue to believe and agree that you are broken and flawed? What good does it do the world to believe that you need to be fixed? What are you getting? This is kind of the self-analysis part. What are you getting out of being insecure and not confident? Perhaps you believe you won't be fully rejected if you reject yourself first. Like if I make a joke about, I don't know, the fact that my hair is thin. If somebody says my hair is thin, it's kind of like, oh, I beat you to the punch. I already know. Or I hear people who live in larger bodies making jokes about their own bodies. I've done this so many times myself, and it's kind of like, if I bring light to it first, then you can't really hurt me. So as part of your insecurity, a protection blanket for yourself for rejection, perhaps you're sort of dimming your light to keep you emotionally safe in some way. Maybe shining bright feels really vulnerable to you. Being seen feels very vulnerable to you. I have a lot of people that I work with, my clients in particular, people that come to my workshops, my retreats, and they are terrified to be radiant, to be seen. There's a legitimate fear there. Maybe you believe it will attract the wrong kind of attention if you're shining too bright. Or maybe it keeps you from having to do something scary by being insecure, like doing a big presentation. So if you kind of self-deprecate and keep saying, well, I'm not a good speaker and I could never do what, Sarah does and ever do that, it's giving you sort of a cop-out. It's giving you the opportunity to not have to do something that might make you uncomfortable or that might be a little bit scary, like getting in front of your boss and presenting a presentation or teaching an essential oils class or going for the next level in your business. For me, oftentimes being insecure allows me to stay in that comfort zone. Feeling like something is flawed and something is wrong with me, I'm not going to go after the things that a confident person would. So I don't have to change much. I don't have to evolve much. I get to stay right where it's nice and cozy and warm. So I just kind of want you to think about this for yourself a little bit. Kind of pause and ask yourself, have a little self-inquiry and see what might come up for you. And this is only for you to discover. There's no judgment, but basically ask yourself, what is this insecurity giving me? How is it protecting me? How is it serving me? Because it is serving you in some way, or else you wouldn't be going back to it over and over again. There's a reason. And there's a deeper reason here for agreeing with these lies, agreeing that you're broken, that you're flawed. There's a deeper reason. And so, saying, yes, world, like you're right. I am ugly. I am fat. I am stupid. I am. There's a subconscious reason for holding on to these insecurities. And I think that Marianne Williamson says this best. I'm sure that you have heard of this quote before. I always go back to it. It's so powerful. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. That has honestly been sort of like my mantra to get me through this several year journey now that I've been on of showing up and being willing to be seen and to shine bright, to own my magnificence, to own my magnetism, to own my radiance, to cultivate that, to show up. Because I know there have been women in my life, think about somebody like Brene Brown. I don't obviously know her personally. That would be really exciting and fun. I think she's amazing. But like, she has been such an inspiration to me. She has given me so much permission through her books to be my authentic self, my true self, to live from that place of personal integrity. And had she not chosen to show up and be seen, I mean, golly, like where would I be in my life? And so now I have taken on my own personal responsibility of this as well, to do the very same thing, to show up, to be present so that my light is contagious. Like that feels like a great, great, deep responsibility of myself. So who are you not to shine? And again, we have to challenge these undercurrent of beliefs that tell us we have to play small and we don't need to be too confident. We have to challenge that. And the reality is when you think about it, like owning this, right? It's not about being better than anybody else or brighter than anybody else. That's kind of the other side of the lie, if you think about it. Because in order for us to count, we have to be on top. Like in order for us to be the most beautiful or the most successful, it's like we've got to come out on top, which is total scarcity. It's like the more beautiful or the prettier that I could be, the more successful that I can be. And that's all insecurity. That is all scarcity. It's basically saying there's only a few spots on top and I got to get one of them. But the truth is there will always be somebody who's more beautiful, more successful, more or sexier than you. Always, 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 always. And so it's a game you cannot win. And so this is not about just you shining and you shining above other women. This is a collective shining. Sounds very bizarre. That might be a title for a great book. Collective shining. But truly, this is a collective experience. All women were created to shine, to be seen, to share our incredible, fierce femininity with the world. That is our heritage. That is what we are made of. I mean, women are so incredibly powerful. So living into loving and accepting ourselves more is about exercising the choice to become who you already are. It's for everybody, all women, not just the few. We can all be confident. We can all radiate our light. And I love to think of it this way. It's like my light doesn't diminish yours and your light doesn't diminish mine. We're not in competition with each other. There is space for everybody. There's space for everybody to shine brightly. And beyond these deeper reasons why you have insecurities, all these belief systems and just the crazy kind of making that happens inside of our head, my guess is that a lot of it also just comes from straight conditioning. Like you've been taught this. Your mind has been shaped by media, by society, by religion. And that is one of the biggest lies out there, that we're supposed to be meek and small and subservient and all of that. It's just part of our conditioning. It's what we know. It's what we've been taught. So we got to break this. We got to kind of piece it down, deconstruct it, and let's get to the bottom of it. So when you're feeling insecure, and you might actually think it for yourself right now, like, where does that actually happen? When do I feel most insecure? Is it when I'm scrolling through social media? Is it when I go pick up my baby from preschool or from school and I'm in the line with all the other moms? Is it when I am shopping? Is it when I am at church? Is it when I'm at a business meeting with other women? Where are you seeing yourself getting triggered the most? Those insecurities that seem to flare up. So when this happens, I want to give you 3 questions that you can ask yourself to break the trance of insecurities. So it is a trance. It's like we've gone through our little brainwashing and we need to ask ourselves 3 questions. So imagine yourself, let's just take the scenario of Instagram. And let's say you see somebody's Instagram that you follow and it's their body in a bikini, for example, in Mexico. And not that that's ever happened to me. No, this literally just happened this morning. So I can relate to this scenario because this is my very own scenario. So let's just say that's the scenario. Ask yourself, question number 1, who do I believe I need to be? Because you're seeing a gap. You're seeing a deficit of where you think you need to be and who you're not. So in that moment, when you get triggered, ask yourself, who do I believe I need to be? And so in that scenario, I'm like, I need to be thinner. I need to be tanner. I need to have no body hair whatsoever. I need to have perkier breasts. I need to have bigger breasts. I need to have better hair. I need to have a personal photographer who travels everywhere with me to capture these moments. Oh my God, my body is disgusting. And I start going through and listing all these things. So who do I believe I need to be? Basically, I need to be this woman. I need to look like her, smell like her, walk like her, talk like her in order to be loved and accepted. So when you get triggered, if you're in the carpool line and you see all these moms and you get triggered with insecurities, you're not adding up, you're feeling inadequate, who do you believe you need to be? Question number 1. Question number 2 is, whose voice is that? I love to say when I'm getting triggered, I challenge that voice and I say, who says I need to look like her to be loved and accepted? Who says I need perkier breasts? Who says I need a flatter stomach? Who says I need to wear a bikini? Who says? Whose voice is that? Because I guarantee you it's not your own. Your own true voice, not the voice of judgment, not the voice of, critiquer. Your true soul's voice is only loving unconditionally, always. Your true soul's voice is only loving unconditionally. So it's not your voice. Whose voice is it? Is it media's? Is it your boyfriend's, your husband's, your mom, your dad? your coworkers, your girlfriends, whose voice is saying you gotta change, you gotta be different. And then the last question number 3 is, do I want to agree with that? Anytime we have a belief that shows up, anytime we have a judgment that shows up, we have the opportunity as conscious beings to decide whether or not we want to agree with that judgment, with that belief. Do I want to agree with that? And I hope more times than not, the answer is going to be hell no. Hell no. Like, no way do I want to believe that. I'm gross, I'm ugly, I'm unlovable, I'm stupid, I'm a terrible wife, mother, brother, sister, whatever. Like, of course, no, I do not want to agree with that. And so we have the opportunity to choose whether we hop on board with that judgment, where we say, yeah, that's true, I really am, or golly, like, they're right. No, you get to decide, like, no, that is not the truth. That is not the truth. So who do I think that I need to be? Essentially, like, what pressure are you feeling? Whose voice is that? Who says? And do I want to agree with that? No. What's the truth? Those are those 3 questions that can, instantly break you out of the trance of those insecurities. Now, I don't want to stop there, because I want to give you some practical ways that you can sort of guard yourself against feeling insecure. So I want to offer you 5 ways to do this. Now, I've talked about this first one, in another episode, probably several episodes, and that is to delete what is causing the insecurities. First way you can guard yourself against feeling insecure is to delete the source. Delete what is causing the insecurities. So what this looks like, ladies, unfollow any Instagram, Facebook friend, Pinterest board, YouTube channel that makes you feel inadequate in any way. If it's mine, unfollow me. If it's somebody else that maybe you know, maybe you don't know, unfollow. You have the power to choose what goes into your mind and what you visually see. You are in the driver's seat of what you are digesting. So delete what makes you insecure. There's no judgment there. You don't have to see it. Draw a hard boundary. There are a few women that I was following for a while on Instagram, and honestly led a lot to the decisions of me being off social media for so long, because it was so triggering. You guys know I do this work. I've created an entire 6-week course on how to love your body called Babe Redefined. I've run through that several times. You can find that, by the way, on my website at maryhyatt.com. It's called Babe Redefined. Check it out. I do this work, and it was like these accounts, for whatever reason, were just triggering. And so for me, it was like, you know what? I get to choose who I give my power over to. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not giving my power over to strangers on the internet who I do not know, whose lives I know nothing about. I'm not doing that. So I unfollowed them. And that was incredibly healthy for my psyche. Years ago, this is probably 6 years ago, I subscribed to People Magazine and Us Weekly and whatever the little magazines were. And it was like a little ritual. I would go get my nails done. I would look through all these magazines that were all about fashion and dieting and celebrities. And I had to make a hard decision, draw the line in the sand, and decide I will no longer look at those magazines. Even if I'm at an airport, on an airplane, getting my nails done, obviously I don't pay and subscribe to them. I am not going to fuel my mind with all of the advertisements, the slimy advertisements, the tricky, clever ways that people are trying to reinforce that I'm flawed, broken, and inadequate, and not enough. So basically, I deleted that out of my life. If there's a show that you watch that's triggering you, again, you are in the driver's seat. Choose to delete whatever is causing you insecurity. Make it easy for yourself. Just get rid of it. Like, goodbye. See ya. See ya, see ya, see ya. Empower yourself to do that. Okay, the way number 2 is to replace the mantra. This one is super easy, super practical. So the moment that you have an insecurity or asking these 3 questions, and you have these lists of judgments, replace the mantra immediately. And I will give you a simple mantra: I am enough. If you can walk through your day repeating that to yourself over and over and over again: I am enough, 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 I am enough. It's like anything that I come up against, whether I feel like I'm behind in work, or if I feel like I just saw somebody who's crushing an online course or crushing their doTERRA business, or a coaching client who just signed on a bunch of clients, or somebody again whose body I just think looks so much better than mine: I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. It's so powerful to replace that mantra. Control the inner dialogue. So the minute that judgment comes up, replace it. I am enough. That is the second way to guard yourself against feeling insecure. Now, the third way is to play your own game. When we are comparing, we believe that we have to be as good or better than somebody else, whether that is in our sexiness, in our parenting, in our business, in our partners, in our looks, in our churching. You know, the moment that we start playing the game of who's on top, who's on bottom, comparing, I got to do this better, at least I got to keep up with the Joneses. Man, that is just fueling that insecurity, because you're constantly going to be looking of ways that you're not adding up, that you're not quite where you should be compared to other people's lives and where they are in their journey. And the reality is that we don't know what each person is really going through. We don't know what stage of the journey that they're on. We don't know that what they've had to go through to get there. We don't know what their soul contract is for this life. We don't know what their purpose is. We don't know what their struggles are going to be. We don't know anything really about anybody else. And so when we play the game of competition with other women, we're always going to lose. And as I believe it's Theodore Roosevelt says, comparison is the thief of joy. The moment we go external and sort of like put ourselves up for judgment, do I compare? Am I falling short? Am I above? It steals all of the joy. So play your own game. Kind of put your metaphorical blinders on. Run your own race, because the only person that you are competing against at the end of the day is yourself. Let's be honest. It's just yourself. How can I be the best me that I can be? How can I up-level myself? Because I want to enjoy life more. Because I want to be more fulfilled. I want to be more content. I want to be more excellent in what I create and what I give. I want to be more generous in what I do and what I offer. It's like I'm only competing against Mary. You're only competing against you. Put those blinders on. Don't look left. Don't look right. Just keep on going. Your journey, your soul's contract. That's all you have to worry about. Now, this one is really powerful to guard yourself against feeling insecure. The fourth way, y'all, ladies, Southern ladies especially, I'm talking to you. Stop apologizing. Stop apologizing. When you think about yourself, how often have the words "I'm sorry" come out of your mouth today or yesterday or this week? This is something I'm still working on. God, it's bad. It's like such a hard habit to break. It is so hard. But now that I'm aware of it, it's like I catch myself every time I say like, oh, I kind of want to eat here. I'm sorry, but is that okay? Or I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be difficult. Or, in dating life, or even with your kids, gosh, it's like, I'm sorry, but can you not touch me? Or, with your friends or people, acquaintances, I'm sorry, I can't make it. Or I'm sorry, I actually can't commit to that. Everything is like this buffer of I'm sorry. And that mantra is the mantra of an insecure person. Somebody with a lot of insecurities, it's like, I'm sorry. It's like that timidity. Is that a word? Being timid. Being timid. Just like, I'm sorry. It's like we're trying to sort of like buffer everything because we're terrified to use our voice to be seen. So everything is, I'm sorry. We apologize for everything. We're so afraid of hurting someone, so afraid of disappointing somebody, so afraid of doing it wrong that every other phrase in our language is, I'm sorry. So, y'all, this is my loving mother telling you, stop saying, I am sorry. Confident people who own their enoughness, who know their worth and deservability, do not say sorry. Like, of course, yes, if you do something that really, really hurts somebody and you need to ask forgiveness, that is a really appropriate time to say, I am sorry. But you do not have to buffer every little thing with, I'm sorry. So that's the fourth way. It's like getting rid of that mantra of somebody with insecurities. Stop saying, I'm sorry. Stop it. Okay, so the fifth and final way is to act confident. I love this. This is something that I coach people through a lot, and I think that it's really, really powerful. It sounds a little silly, but acting as though you aren't insecure is one of the quickest ways to get over your insecurity. Sort of like faking it till you make it. If I did believe that I was beautiful, what would I wear? If I did believe that I was enough right now, what decision would I make? If I did believe I deserved this raise, what would I ask for? If I did believe that I am magnetic and worthy of getting to be known, how would I carry myself? How would I respond? Act as though you are already worthy. You are lovable. Try it on. Like, I promise, like, try this on even today or tomorrow, wherever you are, wherever you typically get triggered, whether you're walking in a grocery store, picking up the kids, entertaining in the evenings, going out for drinks with your girlfriends, whatever you find yourself doing in the next few days, try on acting confident. So I did this at the beginning of my journey, and I started to look around at people who were confident, women in particular, and I started to see, okay, what are they doing that was different than the way that I am? Because I was super insecure and I had massive anxiety for years. I mean, I really hated myself, and I had to start studying because I didn't even know what it looked like to be confident. I had absolutely no idea. So I started to see that there was a certain way that women who were confident would carry themselves. They stood a certain way, they walked a certain way, they held their bodies in a certain posture. The things that they would say, their language sounded a lot different than my language that was very self-deprecating. And so I sort of inadvertently took myself through confidence school by just observing, okay, what are other people doing who are confident? I had to learn. I had to sort of have these examples for myself so that I could practice this, that I could act as if. And my encouragement to you is try this on. Try this on for a week, for the weekend. Just see what it would look like. Sort of mimic and mirror and match what you see other women who are confident do. I mean, obviously, have it align with who you are, but that general essence of confidence. What does it sound like? What does it look like in your posture, in your self-talk, how you show up in relationships? Because I want to let you in on a little secret. The more you can practice being confident, something magical happens, y'all. You become confident. Like, it actually rewires your brain just by acting as if, pretending you were confident. There's something that happens and it switches your brain into truly waking up one day and going, oh my God, I'm more confident than I've ever been, because you've been doing those things that people do who are confident, and all of a sudden it matches up with your identity, with who you are. It's really powerful. So we want to delete what is causing us insecurities, replace that mantra with I am enough, play our own game, stop apologizing, and act confidently. When we talk about being confident and we think about this, it is amazing what it does when you start shifting how you show up, how you present yourself. And so as you're looking at different women and you're starting to notice, oh, they carry themselves different. Their posture is different. How they smile, it lights up a room. You know, what they're wearing, what they're saying, their body language. For me, I had to really begin to study what these women were doing and sort of take myself inadvertently through confidence school. And so I just sort of started to mimic and mirror and match what they were doing physiologically, kind of how they were holding themselves. And it was really fascinating to see what happened inside of myself when I acted as if I was already confident. Now, I wasn't when I started at all, like the furthest thing from. But I started to pretend. And it was amazing as I pretended and practiced this more and more and more, something pretty amazing happened. It's like, this is my secret to everybody. The more you practice being confident, something magical happens. You actually become confident. It rewires your brain. So if you're looking for a quick way to feel more confident and less insecure, act as though you were confident. Pretend. Fake it till you make it, baby. And it really does shift your entire brain. It's so incredibly powerful. And so as we kind of think about what it looks like to release our insecurities and step into our greatness, our beauty, our radiance, what it means to be a woman in her glory. You know, like we talked about with the Marianne Williamson quote. I kind of think of it like embracing my queen energy. I know that sounds a little silly, but some people say like goddess energy, you know, that fierce feminine energy. Think about women who you know who are strong women, who are loving, generous, radiating women. To embrace that as the truth of ourselves. That isn't unique to just a few women, that all of us have that deep inside of our core. It was who we were created to be. Looking at ourselves with wonder, with delight. We are women. You know, we birth human life. We multitask like a mother effer, you know, like we are intuitive. We're connected to all things. Men fight wars over us. We are powerful beings. Find somebody that you know in a movie or a character or in a book that you can almost like take as an archetype example for yourself. Like, what does it look like? The queen energy, goddess energy, powerful feminine energy, showing up to bless and to serve the world powerfully. And I realize that this is, you know, a huge shift from hating ourselves or being super insecure. You know, we are conditioned to play small and to not be too full of ourselves. So you might bump up, you know, against some of those old beliefs. But what I'm talking about here is not ego, not about your appearance. It's about embracing the truth of who we were created to be, our very nature, our womanly essence, collectively. No woman brighter than another. This is true for all of us, and to be fully free as women and to have a life that we love, where we feel fully alive and fulfilled and happy, we have to own that, our very selves, own being a woman powerfully. That doesn't mean that you have to be extroverted. It doesn't mean that you have to be in a place of power. It doesn't mean that you have to be all over social media and have your own brand. It doesn't mean that you have to be successful. It means you own who you were created to be, a woman. Even if you are more of a quiet personality, somebody who doesn't own their own business, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, maybe you're single. This isn't about being like me or being like other people who are on social media or anybody that you know. It's about being you to your core fully. willing to be seen as exactly who you are, all your little idiosyncrasies, all your uniqueness, all the little pieces that make up you specifically, getting to be that, being to be woman. Because it does not serve anyone around us to play small by believing that we are broken, that we are flawed, and we have that choice over agreeing to any lie that tells us otherwise. There is so much freedom from fear, from shame, from anxiety, and from judgment when we choose to believe that we are worthy of love and belonging, that we are beautiful in the body that we have today, with exactly how we look today, that we are whole, that we are enough right now. So when you're triggered, ask yourself those 3 questions, break yourself out of the trance, and then make it easy for yourself to feel confident by deleting those triggers, constantly repeating the mantra of I am enough to yourself, playing your own game, putting those blinders on, stop apologizing, and act as if you were already confident. I so believe that you can do this and move past those insecurities. So y'all, thank you so much for being on the show today. I've absolutely loved having you here, whether you're listening to this as a podcast or watching the YouTube live show. And I will see you guys next week. But until then, remember, the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.